Okay. Yay! Starting in 30 seconds. I'm ready, ready, ready.
Okay.
Ah. One. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the live. If you guys saw me getting ready for the live, that is embarrassing. But I see that a lot of people are already in the chat. Thank you so much for joining, you guys. I see all of our chat regulars are in the stream. I see Haley Kapaz, I see MA3 Designer, Jessica Rose, Emmy, Mike Blackhat. Guys, thank you so much for coming to the live. Today with me, I have a wonderful guest. He is our first time guest on the stream, so don't forget to give him a big round of welcome. Put a 555 emoji or a high five emoji when he's here. But he is our ambassador, Damola. Hi, Damola.
Hi, Celine. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are
Doing
you?
great myself. Where are you joining in from today?
Awesome. Lagos, Nigeria.
Wow. What time is it there?
7:32.
7:30 p.m.
So
Oh
just
my
wrapping up the
gosh.
day.
Thank you so much for spending your
Yes.
valuable evening, afternoon time with us here today. Damola is going to show us a super wonderful effect. He is going to show us how he created the Minecraft give him hell Steve effect, and it uses the back end camera, the rate something like a raycast feature, and you're shooting like fire blaster particles into the enemies. I'll show you on my phone right now. This is so fun. Wow. So we have to
Thank
definitely
you.
hear the behind the scenes on how you created this effect. But before going in, I wanted to ask you some questions. You can say hi to the crowd, familiarize yourself. They
Sure.
can ask you some questions on how you were able to create such an amazing effect. But yeah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. Of course. My name is Damola Rufai. I am a designer and artist. Right now, I've been really into augmented reality effects and AI generated work. So those are the kind of things you'll see me create most of the time these days. But I've done other things in the past, and I will probably do other things in the future. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. But
Ooh.
if you have any specific questions.
Okay. So tell me more about some of the other things that you've done. It's clear that you have a amazing sense of like graphic design and style. So I'm thinking like, were you a
Mm.
designer or were you a fashion designer? I have no idea.
I have done a little bit of all those things. I went to school for architecture, Howard University, 2010. Yeah, and then I also received a master's from a Norwegian university for design as well. So design has always been like in my career, in like my life for as long as I can remember. So I was an architect. I was also a graphic designer at some point. I did a bit of fashion design, furniture design as well. So yeah, I've been around the block, so to speak.
Wow. All sorts of design. That's crazy. How did
Mm.
you first decide to get into design? Like, you mentioned that you started out as an architect. So, how were you always interested
Yeah.
in like building your own buildings and stuff, or how did the spark for design start?
Well, that one was pretty easy. My dad's an architect, so that's where it started. And I used to draw as a kid. So as a kid, when it comes time to like pick a profession and you're like, what can I do as a day job that requires me to draw? So it was like a no-brainer. Like my dad's an architect, so I was like, I'll become an architect. And I enjoyed it for I realized what I loved about architecture was the design aspect of it, but the day-to-day of it was not the most exciting. But I still love architecture and it still informs a lot of the stuff I do. But yeah, that's where that started.
Wow. So, I know this is a stereotypical question that people always ask you when
Mm.
you hear that your parents are architects, but um, did your parents perhaps like build their own house that you guys are living in? I don't know. That's if I were an architect, like
Yes.
love to design my own building, you know?
No, no, that's a fair question. Actually, I don't get that question a lot. I think you're the first person that's asked that question. But I think because everybody just knows that my dad builds his houses, like the 2 houses we've lived in so far, and he designed and built them. So apart from when he was very young and, he was still renting, but after that,
Wow, that's
yeah.
awesome. Is there any special feature about the house that isn't like really typical in other houses?
I wouldn't say it's no, it's not that it's not that tricked out. It's just a regular house. Yeah.
Thanks for answering all my curiosity. I want to hear more
No, no
about
problem.
you though. Like, how did you start making effects? Because you mentioned that you've done like all sorts of designs. How did you find out about
Mm.
Effect House and decide that you wanted to create some AR effects?
Great question. Well, it came at a time where I was really trying to do more digital work, especially because of COVID. Around that time, COVID had hit 2020. I had left Norway, came back to Nigeria, and I was trying to figure out what to do. And I was getting more into digital work. So I then started finding ways to get my work out there in other media. Tried to find other ways to get my work out there, and I was creating these masks, these 3D masks, but I wasn't creating them as effects. I was just modeling them and rendering them, and I was like, how could I take this further? And then I started creating AR. I discovered AR effects, I think probably through YouTube, and then I started creating effects on another app. And then at some point that I was creating effects on that app, I started to think, hey, TikTok is a video platform, like it's a very video friendly platform. I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in AR effects on there, but I haven't really heard if they have an AR platform. So I Googled it, and Effect House was still in beta at that time. And then I found the application for the beta program. So I applied, and then I got in and started making effects. So
Wow,
that's
that
how that
sounds
happened.
amazing. So where I've seen that other than your Give 'em Hell Steve, before you used to do a lot of like
Mm,
mask and like really awesome golden design, like these pop
yeah.
relic series. Where do you get the inspiration
Mm.
for these kind of effects?
Well, it's the Pop Relic series is kind of uh, it's me sort of like referencing my culture in a way because Nigerian culture and well African culture in general has a lot of mask making. There are a lot of African cultures that have their own mask designs and ideas. So I wanted to sort of take that idea but make it digital,
Mm.
hence the name a pop relic. So pop something that is contemporary, neo relic something that's old. So that's kind of how I came up with that name. So that's kind of where that came from.
Wow, I didn't know that they had so much like culture and heritage. Speaking of, okay, sorry for the little promo, but Effect House is currently running a SSA challenge. So all of the countries that are in the sub-Saharan African region, you can now participate in your
Yes.
own SSA challenge, and the winner gets $2,500. So make sure to check out the challenge. The
Mhm.
link for it is in the comments, but they want a gaming interactive effect that specifically highlights some of these amazing
Mm,
African cultures. So make sure everybody to go check
mm,
the challenges and submit to the effects. Speaking of, today's live would be perfect for that because it's gaming and it has so all sorts of cultures. So make sure to tune in and stay until the end
mm,
of the live. And Damola is sharing us with us his amazing project files as well. So you guys can use some parts of the subgraph and the assets to make your own amazing gaming effects. Okay, but back to you. In your feed, it's also very, very clear that
mm.
you are a Marvel fan and a superhero fan. Can you tell me a little bit more? Personally, I love Marvel and all of the superheroes, but how did you get into
Mm,
them? What's your favorite character?
mm. I mean, it's not just Marvel. I'm just a pop culture fan. Like I love movies, I love TV. I could talk about them for a while. If I wasn't doing this, the gig I would love to have is like someone that talks about TV, like a podcaster.
Honestly, you
But
can
you
still
know,
do it. If you make it,
that's
I will tune in. I will watch it every week.
I've been told, but you know, it's good work if you can get it. But I think for now I will focus on this. But I love movies and pop culture, so that's kind of where that was from. And at the time, Secret Invasion was on, and I just thought, eh. And the AI, and there was a lot of controversy around the AI title sequence for that show, and I was like, maybe I could use that to make an effect, you know. And so that was how that came about.
That's fantastic. Okay. One last thing, we have some people who are joining in us from different parts of the region. Please let us know where you're joining in from. But Joy says, greetings from Lagos, Nigeria. Oh, thank you.
Well, hey, Joy. I met her, was it this week or last week? Last week that we had the Level Up Africa event. Very cool.
Yes. I also know that you have had a chance to present and talk more about what Effect House is in a recent TikTok event. Can you tell us more about what the event was and what you did there?
Yeah, if you remember when you first reached out to me for this, I told you I'm terrified of public speaking. So it was so it was quite something to go to an event and have to speak in front of a bunch of people in real life and talk about Effect House. But it was cool, it was nice meeting other people in Nigeria that are at least in Lagos that are interested in AR and VR, and it was nice to talk to other people in the TikTok ecosystem, in other TikTok ecosystems, and share my own experience with TikTok and Effect House. So it was a really cool thing to be a part of, and I'm grateful I was invited.
Can I also ask, like, what kind of other creators were there?
Yeah, they had creators from the beauty sphere, beauty talk, people that were into movies, people that were into gaming, people that were into food. I can't remember what else now, but those are the ones that I remember. The big ones I remember: gaming, movies, food, beauty, and then us, Effect House.
Very nice. Thank you for representing us in this amazing event. Joshua 19 points.
Okay. Joy was also okay.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, no, I was just going to say Joy also was on the panel. Joy, the person you spoke about. Yeah, go ahead.
Wow, Joy, you have to tell us more in the comments what kind of thing you talked about. I'm very interested and I'm looking forward to now going to your TikTok channel and finding all about what you do. Joshua 19 was just saying, "Oh wow, I never knew that Nigeria and the Netherlands are in the same time zone." So I guess now
Yes, we are.
I guess this sounds like an amazing idea for a collaboration. Like, oh, maybe Netherlands,
Mm,
Nigeria challenge together.
yeah,
Okay.
it was one of the countries when I was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you were visiting?
Oh no, I was just saying when I was in Norway, because I mean Netherlands isn't like door next door to Norway, but we're all in that same. Whenever I call home, I noticed at the time it was the same. So yeah.
That's super wonderful. Okay, before going into the tutorial, what is your favorite effect that you've made?
Oh, well, they're all like my kids. It's hard to pick one. But I will say an effect I made for my brother, which is probably my highest performing effect, funnily enough. But yes, an
Wow.
effect I made for my brother.
What's the effect name called?
It's called A Myriad of Blues. It's named after his album. He had an album that he put out, and I just wanted to do something to help put that, make the world of the album bigger. So I just
That
made
is
that.
so awesome that you did that for your siblings. Okay, while I look up this effect, let's actually move on to the tutorial. I'm
Mm.
converting you to our screen share page so you can show off your amazing effect. Can you tell us a little bit more about how
Okay.
you got an inspiration for this effect?
Sure. For this effect, I wanted to create something that was reminiscent of old school, like bullet hell games. Well, there's still recent games that use this game mechanic, but it just games like Contra and more recently, I think Nier Automata had like a couple of levels that had stuff like that in it. So I wanted to do that and bring that into an effect. And then when I saw in the asset library that we had zombies and skeletons, I was like, okay, I guess it's a no-brainer. I have to make this now. So that was kind of how that came about. Then the name, Give 'em Hell Steve, I know it's a mouthful. It's from a movie I saw a long time ago in the early 2000s called Give 'em Hell Malone. It's a neo noir with Thomas Jane, and I just always liked that title. And I was like, I wanted it to sound kind of badass, at least to me. To most people, it probably doesn't sound like anything, but
No, it
yeah,
sounded very
that was where
badass.
that came from. So yeah, that was how the game came about.
That's super wonderful. Now I gotta go check out the film as well. But yeah, take us through how you came up with the levels, or like how you basically brainstormed and brought this project to life.
Okay, yeah. To begin, like I said, I wanted to create something that paid respect to those old games, and then I was thinking of what would be the best way to do that, and something that wasn't maybe too complex level wise. So I just thought I'd do something that was a straight shot, just like walking down a corridor and just mowing down zombies and skeletons, and that was going to be the game. But then the challenge was now how to make that interesting and how to make that what would be the journey in that game. So at first, I was like, okay, Steve's just going to walk down a corridor and kill all these zombies and skeletons. But then it got to a point where I was like, there has to be a climax. And then that was when I saw the asset for the warden, and I was like, okay, that's going to be the
Mhm.
big bad of the game, and then we're going to have a sequence where you get to the end, and then you have to defeat the warden to beat the game. So that was how I kind of planned out the hierarchy. I mean, the level design and the hierarchy of the progression in the game in my head. So,
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, I'll let you take the board.
okay. So we'll start with the character creation. So, because this is Minecraft, I just thought I would use the most iconic Minecraft character, which is Steve. And fortunately, because Minecraft is very modular and everything is squares and cubes, the textures are very easy to find, and there's a huge community online of people that play the game and create textures for different things. So you can always find all the assets you need. So what I did was I downloaded an asset that that has a walking animation and an idle animation, because I didn't want the character to just be stiff. I wanted them to have a bit of life to them. So I went on Sketchfab, which is a great resource for anyone, and I brought that model into Effect House, and then I just used the albedo of the Steve character that was given in the asset library and just mapped it onto the Sketchfab model. And since, like I said, since everything's modular in Minecraft, it just fit perfectly. So that was how I was able to get. If you play the demo, you could see like when. Sorry, my computer is slow, guys. Um, um, Hello.
Yep, I'm here. Did you want to go through any
Okay.
of your
All right.
subgraphs?
Yeah, I was just going to get to that. Okay, so you could see the animation, um, the animation of the character when you hit the record button and you see it move. And to do that, how I achieved that was through this subgraph right here. So on video record, that's this node here. Oh, sorry, this is to move the level. My bad. Um, all right, here we go. So a couple of nodes that were pretty important in achieving this effect were the set visibility node, the set enabled node, the collision event node, and the transit by time node. Those four nodes come into play a lot in this effect. So you guys keep that in mind when you're creating your gaming effects. Uh, so to control the character animation, what I did was I used the video record node right here, this green. To get that, you just right click. You can right click and select add node, and then you search video record right here, and you select that, and it adds that to visual scripting window. So you see that right there, video record. And then what I asked it to do is on start, I wanted it to show, I wanted it to, when it's walking, I wanted it to show the animation where Steve is walking. And it turns off the animation where Steve is idle. Because there are two animations, when Steve is idle and when he's in motion. So when you start recording, you can put let me find this. Okay. Okay, there it is.
It's so funny because you have so
Sorry.
many assets,
It,
so you're just scrolling and like trying to find the right one.
I
That happens to me
it's
as well.
it's also yeah, it's also the computer is so it's moving so slowly. Like I it's making it a bit difficult to select. Um, but yes, you select the walk animation and then that you turn that on in the set visibility node here, and then you then select the idle animation and you turn that off, so that when you hit record, Steve walks, and then the animation where he's standing still and just like breathing is turned off. Then when you stop recording, the idle animation comes back on and the walk animation is turned off. So that was what I did for the character animation. Sorry, my computer is slow, guys. I hope you're able to follow. If
Don't
it's not making
even worry
sense, please
about
let me
it.
know.
It's actually a meme in our live channel because I also had a really bad computer. So people were roasting me because every time I would try to bring something up, I was like, wait a little, it's loading. And people are like, Celine with the slowest laptop ever. So you are not new here. Yeah.
uh, thank you. That's a bit of a relief. Um, so the next thing, once you have your character, you then want to since we want it to be a first person or third person sort of view. What I did was I turned the camera in the direction I wanted, basically this corridor sort of view. This was after I had created the level, and the level isn't hard. It's just three planes, two planes on either side, and then a ground plane. That's the whole thing. Um, so what I did to get this effect where the camera is behind Steve and it follows him as he's going through the level was I basically parented. I made the camera a parent of the 3D character. This is the camera um, here, and to do that, you just basically drag and drop. You select whatever thing you want to make a child of the camera, and you drop it onto the camera, and it will make it. You see the add button that appears, and then it will make it a child of the camera. So that's how I did that. That the camera is like right behind Steve, and so whatever the camera is showing is what you'll see. Um, so the next thing is how do we make Steve actually move through the level? Because I wasn't going to use a joystick in this effect. So what I did is I don't know if this is a cheat, but I think it's an animation trick too in any sort of animation. So basically, Steve is standing still in one position. Even when he's walking, he's standing still. But what I did was I did a transit by time. I When I created all these characters, when I brought in all these zombies and skeletons, I essentially all these zombies and skeletons here. I essentially parented them. This is another. I mean, made them children. This is another parent-child thing. I made them children of the ground plane here. Where's the plane? Okay, there's the. Sorry, this is such a heavy. This is the so I made them all children of the ground plane, and then I did a transit by time. Let's see, where is that?
Damola, people are chatting in the YouTube
Yeah.
saying, "Oh my gosh, my computer is the same," and people are saying like Haley Cat Paws saying the computers just get tired of working. I think they can sense when we're trying to work. And then Reem said, "I
Uh,
can cook an
thank.
egg on my laptop when I open Effect House." Ah.
Oh man. Uh, trying to find.
Also, I wanted to ask you, I ask everybody that comes on the stream what your favorite node is.
Oh, it changes from time to time, but right now it's between set visibility and sequence, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I don't think anyone has mentioned. Oh, I think maybe during one of the crash course gaming tutorials, maybe someone mentioned that sequence is a really good way to for randomizers. But I don't think anyone has said set
mm,
ability. But those are magical, you know. Turn it on and off.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And a lot of the stuff I do in the games that I make is a lot of on and off. Like when one thing happens, it turns the other thing off. And because to be honest, I'm not like I don't have a computer science background, so everything is very visual for me. So set visibility is a no brainer.
Yeah.
Like if it was one of the nodes that made the first lick of sense to me that okay, if I enable this, it turns the thing off, and if I don't enable it, it turns the thing off. So to move the level, guys, like I said, you will parent you first parent all the characters that you want to the ground plane, this over here, and then you then get the position of that ground plane, its initial position. So we'll come here and we'll hit get position. All right. It's already done in the visual scripting tab. I'm just showing you how you would normally do it. And then you come over here and get also set the position. You get and set the position for the plane. So once you set the position, you have that there. And then what you're gonna do is you can then and there we go. Computer is not cooperating. Sorry, I might need to close Effect House and reopen it. It's really
That
difficult to
is
navigate
totally
right now.
fine. In the meantime, I want to read out some of the funny comments that I saw from the chat because they're hilarious. Um, Reem and Haley
Right,
Catpaws is
imagine.
now having a serious conversation about whether computers have the mind of their own because Reem's now saying, "Now you got me wondering why it doesn't lag when I play games, but only lags when I work." Reem, you're hilarious. Reem saying getting tans at home from how hot the computer is. And that our
Okay,
PCs
so
can't handle our
yeah.
hotness.
Hmm.
Also, guys, with me here today is Pumpkin, my baby, and he's been crawling all over me and being very, very annoying. He's typing on the keyboard, so I think he's also excited for the live and wants to leave a comment about how amazing this tutorial is. So now that you guys have seen a cat, put a cat on the emoji so everybody knows that you guys are a cat family. On the
Hmm.
TikTok live side, we have Smail sending us roses. Thank you, Smail. We also have Ilona, and they're sending us the tulips. Very nice. Thank you. I wonder, the chat is now cat emojis. I love it. Joy says, "Wow, just noticed a cat behind Celine. What's your pet's name?" So I have one here, one sitting next to me. So I'm just surrounded by cats. I actually got them exactly on Halloween date, so they all have spooky names. So my three house cats, their names are Spider, Boo, and Ghost. And this baby orange one that I'm currently fostering, if you're in the LA area looking for cats, let me know. His name is Pumpkin, but his full name is Pumpkin Spice Latte. So sometimes he goes by Pumpkin, sometimes he goes by Latte, and he is a energetic 2 months old. Joy, do you have any pets?
Okay, I think we're back in.
Okay, perfect. Transitioning back to your screen so you can proceed. But if anybody has pets, let me know what their names are. Also, this file that Damola is working on right now is available because he has very generously decided to share them with us. So I'll put them in our Discord. So if there are parts of this file that you are interested in taking a closer look at, or you just want to know like how he built this amazing effect, you should be able to find it in our Discord page under Effect House Lives. So don't forget to join our Discord and download if you haven't already.
Man, it's so difficult to navigate the 3D. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So where was I? Moving the level. So like I said, what I did to create the illusion of Steve moving was to use the transit by time node with the plane. So I went to the plane, got the position, and I got the initial position and set the initial position as well. That's the get position that goes there. Then the set position that goes over here on the right. And so once you have those two, you then connect them on either end of the transit by time node. And I'm using the video record node to as the main controller. So when we hit record, it starts moving the plane. So on the left, we connect the get position, and on the right, we connect the set position. And then, so on the left, that's the value that the plane is going to start from when it's moving. So to get its final destination, you're going to, at least the way I did it was I had to move the plane. You can either do this manual, you can either do this through the cursor in the 3D window, or you can do it through the tab here on the right, the transform tab. So let me just do it through the transform tab. Let's say I'm just gonna put a random value there, like let's say 56, and you'll notice that in the 3D window, the plane will update and move. At least it should. I don't know if you caught that, but it moved a tiny bit. Let me put a bigger number so it's more evident. 10.5. 0.9. Okay, so you see there's a change in the 3D window. So when you have the value of where it is you want the plane to end up, you will then put it here. You will then enter that value here in the z-axis because that's where the plane is moving along, minus z backwards, um, positive z in the other direction. So you then enter that z value there, and so when you hit video record, the plane will then move the way you've using the values that you've entered into the node. Sorry, I can't move around too much in the 3D space for you guys. I would have loved to do more, but I'm just trying to make the best of the shortcomings we have here. So that has to do with the moving the level. So we now get to the fireball, the one of the highlights of the game, which wouldn't have been possible without Heather McGee, Haley Catpause's uh, particle
Yay!
system.
Good job, Haley
So
Cat Paws. We love to see this
yeah,
collaboration. She's actually in the YouTube and TikTok live at the same time. Our number one live fan, I
oh
feel like.
wow,
Thank you, Haley. If you're here, we're all
yeah.
giving you a thumbs up.
Yeah, Haley is very generous and she seems like a very cool person. Like in the Discord, she's always helping people that need help. And, she made this particle system she made available for everyone to use. So if you're in the Discord server, you should be able to download it and use it for your own needs. Type in, particle. Okay, here we go. Keys particle system.
I'm going to be linking Haley's asset that she shared on our Discord page. So if you guys are also interested in checking out her project, you can go check it out over there as well. But she's provided to us like so many useful subgraphs or projects that I bet like it has inspired a lot of different effects.
Okay. So yeah, this is Haley Catpause's particle system over here, the subgraph over here. So from what I gathered, uh, the way to use this particle system is you create a modular sort of shape, anything you want. Like it could be a cube. In this instance, I used a cube for my fireball. If you can see on in the 3D window on Steve's chest, where the gizmo is. Trying to zoom in, but computer is being very uncooperative. But if you can see where the cursor is, that's where the fireball is. It's basically a cube parented to another sphere, which is a sphere which is invisible. You can't see it, but it's there. Um, so once you have that cube, you can then replicate it. You give it the material of the fireball. So for the fireball material, like I said, I went into I went online and looked for Minecrafters that had created textures for fires and fireballs, and I just brought that into Effect House and mapped it onto the cube, um, the 3D cube, and that's how I got the fireball. And then I just duplicated that 4 times, and parented it to this fireball mesh here. And so in Haley's particle system, to use it, you have to select the parent of the four fireballs or whatever it is that you parented to that, or that you made a child of that parent object. So here it's the fireball. So you just click here. She's made it very easy. You just click here.
I know Minecraft has a lot of different blocks, whether it's like lava. Is there a block that's called fireballs, or did you have to choose like another similar red one?
I think it was fire. I googled, but I also googled fireball, and I think there were other variations on it. Like people, it's this website called Nova Skin, so it's just like a bunch of people that create custom um, Minecraft textures. So that was how I got that. So once you click that window there, it opens this up, and then you then go in and select the fireball. Man, this is always
I'm reading the
so
comments from Haley Kapaz in our YouTube, and she's saying, "Thank you so much with hard eyes. I just love that it could help." And she says, "Never in a million years I would have thought it would be used to for something like this. The project is absolutely insane and awesome." Aw, thank you, Haley.
Yeah, that's the beauty of her particle system. I'm sure when she made it, her intention was not for a pew pew game, but it was like I was messing with it, and then I saw it, and I saw what it could do, and I was just inspired to use it in this respect. But it's very versatile. You can use it for so many things. So once you then input the fireball into the particle system subgraph, then the question is, how do you want to trigger that? So what I did was I made it triggered by the video record node, like I've done with the other two things in the past, moving the level and the animation of Steve. It's all video record. So I used the video record node, plugged it into the sequence node, one of my favorite nodes, and then connected that to Haley's subgraph, which will then start the fireball. So when you hit video record, it automatically starts the fireballs shooting. Another way you can do it, if you want it to be a screen image tap thing, you could create a screen image, create a 2D image on the screen, and then bring the screen image tap node here as opposed to the video record node. So every time you tap on the image on screen, it will shoot out a fireball. So you can also control it that way. But I wanted mine
If
to be
you
controlled
made
by
it
the
that
record
way, it would have been so hard because then I would have been have to like spamming the page and my fingers would hurt from how much I'm tapping.
Yeah, you would have to yeah, it would be. But I wanted it to just be a very pleasurable walk through the thing. There's still a level of difficulty, but you mostly just walking through and changing the direction of uh, of where you're shooting. And then, when you start it, it then makes the fireball object visible. And when you stop the recording, it makes the fireball object non-visible. So there's the set visibility making its appearance again, sequence and set visibility. So that was how I was able to achieve the fireball um, part of the effect.
When you are destroying
And
the
then the
enemy,
camera movement.
are you
Sorry.
actually like
Yes.
using collision from the particle system, or is it something else?
It is definitely collision. Every single one is a sequence. I was about to get to those after. I was just going to explain the camera movement,
Mm-hmm.
and after that, I'll get into how I did
Sorry, I
the
went ahead of
collision
myself. I was too
for.
excited hearing about
No, it's
fire
it it it
particles.
it. it no, it's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. Um, So okay, yes, the camera controls slash the player controls for this game were adapted from Cristiano Bartel's parkour game. I'm sure a lot of people have played around with that template. It's in front of Effect House. So if you have Effect House, you have this subgraph in there. So you go into the parkour template and you can get the player controls there. And what that does is control how far your character turns, either left or right. So you can either increase or decrease the minimum camera angle, and you can say what the maximum camera angle is here. And then the camera rotation speed, you can also control that. So that's another helpful subgraph that came in handy in making this effect. If you don't use this, then you can use a joystick to also achieve the same thing. But that's a whole different kettle of fish. So now we move on to how we do the attack interactions, like when an enemy is hit with a fireball.
I love how this
So in here,
collaboration between all of the creators. You have subgrams from Haley, you have subgrams from Bartel Games. It's a collaborative work. I love
like
it.
yeah, like I said, I'm not I didn't study computer science. I don't have like a huge knowledge of visual scripting, so like I just have to like kit bash things sometimes till they give me what I want.
Same here.
So
This is
that's how
exactly
I,
what I do.
yeah. Ah, cool.
Guys, this is why you
So
guys should share your self graphs. If you make something that you're proud of, or even like a small function, and you're like, oh, I feel
mm,
like this would be really helpful, put it on our Discord under like tutorials and resources page, and you'll see that your subgraphs will appear in a random project by a random person. That's like a super awesome project. They're like, wow, I can't believe I made this in real life. And now that we're sharing
yeah,
your resources, Damola, you're gonna see
yeah,
your subgraphs and your particles in like some awesome
yeah.
effect, and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy!"
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what people create. I hope I'm making some amount of sense so far, but if not, you guys can always hit me up in other ways. But so for each of these the enemies here, the zombies and skeletons, I've kind of shortened the course and removed. In the original game, there are a lot more zombies and skeletons on the ground plane, but here I've only just put four. So each one of these has, let me see, okay. So in here, on the left here in the hierarchy panel, under zombies and skellies, you can see, come on, computer. Hmm, okay. Okay, yeah, you can see each one of these is a child of a cube, and that cube is a box collider. So if you see the green boxes around each one, I don't know if you can make them out from that distance, but there are these green boxes around each one of these characters, and those are box colliders. Um, what I did was to first create these cubes, and then this is a technique I learned from you, Celine, actually. I think it was your dancing fin tutorial that you did a
From
very long
me?
time ago. Yeah. the you were showing how to move the character in AR, and you had created like a cube with an unlit material that was invisible, so that you could control the cube but not see the material, around it. So using that technique, you just create a cube, give it an unlit material, and make the unlit material invisible. And then you come in here, add component, and select box collider under 3D physics, and you make the cube box collider. So once you do that, box collider will appear here. And then you then take your character, whether it's a zombie or a skeleton, and then make them a child of the cube, so that anything that affects that happens to the cube will affect the zombie character. So once you've done that for all your characters, you then have to figure out a way to that when a collision happens, the collision in this case is the fireball hitting the zombie or the skeleton. So you'll also have to make the fireball. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. You also have to make the fireball box collider as well, so that when the fireball collides with the cube that's a parent of a zombie or a skeleton, something happens. So to record a collision, you then have to use this node called the collision event node. As always, you right click on visual scripting, and there are other ways to do this as well. Click add node, and then look for collision event. Select collision event. Okay, collision event appears. And then for every collision event, you want to use the update. You can use other nodes depending on the situation, but normally it's the update node you use. And what that does, you plug that into the start of the collision event node. And what that does is it makes the collision it sort of makes it seek out collisions depending on whatever collision you've connected to the collision event node. So it starts to immediately you start the game, or even before you start the game, it starts to just seek out a collision. So when it detects a collision, it then does whatever you said, whatever um, you've attached to the collision event node. So we then go in and we click this circle here under box collider in the cube, and then we get the box collider. Click get box collider. And then we connect that to collider component there on the left. And then we also connect the update node to the start. So now that begins to detect any collision that happens to this cube that is parented to, that's a parent of that zombie child. So what do we want to happen when there's a collision with that cube? So we want there to be an explosion, and we want the character to no longer appear, so that it looks like the explosion killed them, so to speak, or maybe destroyed them is a more a nicer way to put it. So what we do now is we add the do once node to the end of the collision event node, which is then telling it to do this action that we're telling it to do once. Because if you don't add the do once node, it will keep whatever you ask it to do, it will keep doing it as long as it detects a collision.
I
So the do once node is what tells it you only. Sorry, go ahead.
No, oh, no, I was just saying that I've noticed that a lot of the gaming creators love the do once node.
I think credit goes to Projo. At least that's how I discovered the do once node. His basic physics game tutorial. That was how I discovered the do once node. Um, so when you have the do once node, it says, okay, we're only going to detect this collision once, and when you detect it once, you then do the things I'm telling you to do, and you don't do it again. Then after that, you use a sequence node because we want two things to happen when it detects a collision. So the first thing is we set the visibility of hit, and hit is basically the animation sequence that runs, the explosion animation sequence that runs. So I'll show you in the assets library, in the last assets panel here. If you look to the right, you can see a texture sequence that's running here. So I've created a material that has that animated texture sequence. And here in the hierarchy panel, you see there are a bunch of hits for each enemy in the game. So we're saying for this cube here, when it's hit, we want this hit to be displayed. Oh, it's for that zombie over there. Okay. When that zombie is hit, we want the animation to play. So you can see it's turned off now because it hasn't been hit yet. It's when it's hit that it plays. So it'll be turned off initially. So you use the set visibility node to turn it on, and it will be triggered by a collision event. So you use the set visibility node, set the target to hit, and then that will be there. And then the next thing you want to do is use the wait for seconds node. Use the wait for seconds node because you want the whole animation sequence to play. Because if you don't use it and you put a set visibility that says you want to hide the hit animation after it's played, because the hit animation is on a loop, it will not play the whole sequence through. In fact, it'll. Oh wow, Effect House just shut down on me.
I see that there are some regulars on our TikTok live side as well. Okay, 100 plus. I remember you from our live stream a couple days ago. I checked out your profile and you have some amazing effects. I hope you make more and come back because I want to review them on the stream as well. And Heather, which is Haley Kapaz, is also mentioning do once is a must have. My automatic go to for debugging any glitches is do once. So I agree with you. Like, I feel like it's really good. One underutilized node that I've been loving recently is the gate node. It's for when you only want an action to happen when the conditions are met. So in this case, like Damola was mentioning how
Mm,
he's doing collision events. So he could be like, if the collision event already happened with this object, then change their color to red, or like start the transit by time so it goes to red, or
mm.
you can do something like that. So I think it's really, really fun. What else? We have some upcoming notes. I can't reveal to you what they are, but we have a new version that we're cooking up soon. And out of that, we have many, many fun features. Oh, have you guys also tuned into our asset libraries? We've added so many subgraphs and 2D, 3D designs that if you haven't been, you definitely got to go check it out. It looks really cool. My favorites are the hint animations that's just been added to the asset library, and they're animated too. So before, if you wanted your user to do like some complex motion, like move your fingers, like slide them or show paw hands, like it would be very hard to describe them. But we've added the new animations feature. So in this case, like Damola's project, where you have to like move your finger like this to shoot at the enemies, now there's a prompt for that. So people who don't speak English or whatever language instruction you're putting will still be able to understand exactly what you need to do to use this effect. So I hope that this inspires a lot more to include like a fun visual prompt on how people can use your effect. Okay, going back to Damola. Random question,
Yes.
but I know it's around like dinner time. Have you eaten? Because it's
Uh,
around lunch here and I'm getting hungry.
yeah, I had something to eat before the live because I figured it'd be dinner time by the time we're doing this. So
That is good. You are prepared.
well, my computer isn't. uh,
Actually, related to that, I had a
oh,
survey saying, what can you cook on your computer? And I gave them four options. Number one was nothing. My computer is too good. A smirk. The second was an egg. The third one was a cookie. And number four was a whole Thanksgiving meal. And I'm surprised because almost 20% of you selected a whole Thanksgiving meal option. I think that is hilarious.
um, my effect house is open now, but the 3D window isn't cooperating with me. But I can go through the visual scripting panel. All right, let's just put this here. Okay. So we were going through what it's like when the attack interaction. So when something gets hit by a fireball, what happens? So we were saying we'd use the set visibility node to make the explosion animation appear, and then we'll use the wait for seconds node to let the animation play out. Then at the end of that of the duration, here you can enter whatever value you want for the duration of time that you want the animation to last. So after that, you then uses another set visibility node. This time you disable the visibility of the explosion so that the explosion animation runs and then it disappears from the screen. And then the second thing that you want to happen is that you want the zombie or skeleton, whatever it is that you've hit, to disappear. So you also have a set visibility node, a second, or in this case, a third set visibility node that's been disabled, and then you then select the cube, which is the parent of the zombie or the skeleton. And then so when the collision is detected by any of these cubes, it plays the explosion animation, and then the animation disappears and the character disappears. So that's how you achieve. That's how I achieved that, and that's how you can do that too. I'm sure there are other ways, but this is how I did this on this project. So you basically then repeat that for every single. Again, this is how I did it for every single enemy on the plane. So I just created a bunch of. I just repeated that node sequence for each of them. This is after I had already given each one their own designated hit animation, their own collider, and all that. So once you do that, you then have you can then you then have everything you need to, you know, hit the enemy and have the enemy disappear.
Damola, I
So
have a
then the
question.
next thing is,
You are
yes,
using
sure.
so much like physics and 3D animation and different kinds of like materials in here. I am now wondering how
Yeah.
you pass the 5 megabyte limit plus like our speed. Like, how did you do it? Are you a wizard or an optimization god? How did you
I
do
I
it?
I'm just as surprised as you. I really thought it'd be like, it feels heavy to navigate in Effect House, but the effect is only 1.9 megabytes, which is surprising
So
to me.
you were
But
well
I
below
mean,
the 5 megabyte. You weren't like even close there.
yeah, it's surprising. It's
I think
surprising.
you
But I mean,
I think you did it in
sorry,
a
go ahead.
really smart way where you are using a lot of like the instances of another object. So even though it seems like particles is so
Right,
hard, like you're using one cube and
right.
one cube FPX is very
Mm,
small. The vertices are small. So I think
yeah,
that's what really helped.
yeah. That's probably it. You're right. But I mean, we've seen. Is it? I think his name is Strongfield. There's a guy in the Discord that's been putting out games recently. I think he just released like a Need for Speed
Mhm.
TikTok game, and he created a Mario Kart TikTok game. Like,
Wow.
people are doing pretty incredible things with the 5 megabytes. It's quite inspiring to see.
Joy is also
Yeah.
shocked. She's saying, "Wow, 1.9?"
uh, so the next stage is the main bad guy, the warden. Oh man, it's just killing the flow. Like, I had this whole thing planned in my head, and everything's slow and
Oh,
just
I'm
like
sorry. I have
you have to
the
recalibrate.
presentation, and if you want, I can share it with you, and then I can just help move it.
Oh, it's fine. I think people will probably appreciate the file more, and they'd be able to get more out of it. And if they have any questions, they could just ask me. But if you guys have any questions now, you can let me know too. But so to for the warden, there's a big bad guy. Let me show you where he is. Warden buffer. Warden buyer. Okay, take this guy. Okay, that guy there. If you can see him where the cursor is, there's a big dude over there. So I wanted the gameplay to sort of end with that guy, that you take down that guy, and then that's the end of the game. I wanted it to be a boss, like a boss level in this game. So when you reach the end of the track, he shows up, and then you have to defeat him. So, but before you see him, there's a barrier in front of him made of all these um, all these blocks, and each one is has physics. Each one has a collider for each one, and then there's the ones on the edges are just basic box colliders, but the ones in the middle are rigid bodies. And the reason that I wanted them to be rigid bodies is because rigid bodies, when you hit them, they can move, and it then gives you this animation. Let me see if my computer will get to show it, where the warden comes through. I want it to be like the warden comes through the blocks and is destroying the blocks. So it like gives the player a shock at first, like, oh, what's this? I didn't expect this at the end of the game. And then you then have to face him. So yeah, it's not even playing. Okay, I think it's all right. We're moving to the level. If you can see in the preview panel, I'm just trying to show what it's like when the warden. Oh, I, I couldn't beat the game because it's too slow. But if you see in the preview panel, you can see the warden is coming towards the screen. So to do that, there is the barrier with the colliders. All those boxes are colliders, and then we have these triggers up here. If you can see these rectangles that are shooting off the side of the wall. So the first one is what triggers the warden to come through the barrier, to bust through the barrier. So when the plane moves up to an extent, the barrier, I'm just going to sort of depict that with the cursor. Yeah.
While everything is loading, I wanted to show you an awesome example, another effect that Damola has created. I think he actually won a challenge with this effect. It's when you're like looking back or you're thinking, and then there's like that thought ripples. Like if you guys are like drama fans, you would definitely know what I'm thinking about because it's like a common transition whenever like you're looking back, and it looks like this. And look at this effect video that Damola has posted. Nostalgia be like. I personally love this effect.
Oh, thank you. So I'm just going to try my best to describe the sequence of events. So remember, I told you it's a transit by time that controls the movement of the ground plane and the whole level. So at some point, this barrier, as that's parent, it's also parented to the plane, will interact with this rectangular collider. And when it interacts with that collider, the warden, this character that's behind the barrier, will bust through this barrier and then come through. And then this second collider will then trigger and will then trigger another collider to appear around the warden that you can then use to defeat the warden. So it's like there's a sequence of steps because there has to be a second collider, because if you don't have a second collider that triggers a collider that goes around the warden, and you just make the collider appear around the warden at the beginning, once the warden collides with this wall, the game ends. So you want that collider turned off until the warden gets to this point. So you kind of have to be tricky a bit and hide that collider that controls the fireball attack until it gets triggered by this other collider here hanging out from the wall. So to do that, we then have another collision event. Like I said, that's one of the really popular nodes that I used in this tutorial, in this game. You add a collision event, and then you then use the update node again, so that it's trying to detect a collision for whatever input you put here. And the input we put here is the Warden Collider 1. And the Warden Collider 1 is here. It's around the Warden here in the back, Warden Collider 1. So you then put that into the collision events. You put your do once node again, like you did for the other enemies. Then you put a set visibility node. And this time, what we want to be visible when there's a collision detected is the warden's health bar. So let me go into the material assets. Where is the warden's health bar? Okay. Okay. So it's just a green bar, this green rectangle here on the right in the preview panel. So that's the first bar to just show that the warden has a full life, and he has to take a couple of hits before he goes. So compared to the other enemies where it's just one hit and they disappear, this guy requires 4 hits. So we have to create a sequence of events where the player is aware that, okay, this guy is not going to go down with one hit like the other guys, and the player also has to know, have a sense of progression of how well they're doing in terms of beating the warden. So that was why I created. So I created like 5 of these. They're just 2D textures. So that's the warden with a full life. If you see in the preview panel, you see another one. So when you hit him again, it decreases until there's nothing left, and this is the empty health bar. So once the warden collider 1 detects a collision, it will instantly show the warden's health bar floating. I wish I could show you in the preview panel now, so it would make more sense than just saying it to you. And then once you have that, let me see if I can even show it to you. Let's take out the barrier. Okay, take out the barrier.
So let me show you
Okay.
from when when Steve is done destroying all of the skeletons and the zombies, and now he's walking through this block. Oh my gosh, that was really quick. You're really good at
Oh, thank you,
this.
Sabine.
Yeah, and you can see that there's a
Thank,
health bar on the warden that's going down as you're hitting them, and boom, you win. Okay, going.
thank you. I appreciate you doing that. So now you have a visual to what I'm trying to explain. So so that's the first health bar. When that appears, it's then how do you then get to the next health bar? Oh, okay. So then, like I explained, there's the second trigger after that first trigger that triggers the warden to move. There's the second trigger that then brings about a new collider that detects hit interactions. So that's the warden trigger 2 here in the visual scripting window. And you plug that into a collision event. You plug your update node into the collision event node as well, so that it detects whenever there's a collision with the warden trigger 2 node. I mean, yes, warden trigger 2 node. And always remember to get the nodes you select. And I'm sure most people here know this, but to people that don't know, that this might all be new to, you select the object you want to get the position or whatever of in the hierarchy panel. Then you come here and you see these dots next to the values. When you select them, that's where you see get position or set position or get the thing the value that's there. So whenever you want to bring things into visual scripting, that's one of the ways you can do them. Do that, I mean. So for the warden trigger 2 here, that's how we did that. We select the warden trigger 2, and then we go to the box collider because it's the box collider we want to detect the collision of. Hit that circle there, get box collider, and then that appears, and then you connect that to the collision event. So then it starts detecting. All right, so we move on. Again, wants to know that because we want to only.
I am seeing so many awesome comments. Alamandra, a filters creator, is saying, I'm discussing Blender program. Is this good for a future 3D effects? And yes, I think Blender is an amazing program to use because it allows you to create so many awesome assets like the one Damola is using today. So definitely go check it out. And Joy is saying, wow, this is what I call information overload. This game is loaded with so many useful examples and information. I hope to create this one day. And Joy, I feel like you can definitely create something like this. And now you have the project file so you can look into it and see the secrets of how this effect was made. But in the meantime, I went to her channel and saw that she also has amazing effects. I particularly love this one named Mummy Barakat. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But look, it is her where she is getting ready. And then, oh, I think there's sound. But, ta-da! This is what the effect looks like. So, Joy, thank you so much. I have no doubt that you're going to be able to create a super amazing effect. Okay, going back to Damola.
Yeah. So then we use the
Oh,
sequence
also,
node
Brett was in
because
our
we
comment
want.
section and he was saying that he is creating his first ever physics effect. And I am personally very excited because the level of quality effect that Brett creates, it is fantastic. So he says no spoilers,
Yeah.
but Haley Cat Paws and me is particularly enjoying it. So I hope it's cat themed.
That's awesome. I'm excited for that too because I just recently became
Okay.
familiar with Brett. I mean, I think I've seen him in the Discord a few times, but yeah, I'm looking forward to what they make. Um, so yeah, we have two things that we want to happen once a collision. The warden trigger 2 detects a collision. We then want another collider. We then want another collider to appear around the warden. And this other collider is going to detect the hits from the fireball. So when the fireball hits that collider, an explosion animation appears, and the health bar moves a little bit. So we then set enabled for the new collider. You right click, select add node, set enabled, and you select that from there, and it appears there. And when it appears there, you then connect the box collider for Warden Collider 2, which is one of these boxes that I've made a parent of the Warden. And then you connect that there. And then you have a set enabled as well for Warden Collider 1, which is the collider that was previously a parent of the Warden. So there's a lot of swapping, one for the other. So you swap out Warden Collider 1 for Warden Collider 2, and then after that, you then disable Warden Trigger 2, so it doesn't collide with the Warden anymore and create more hits. Then you set a visibility for the Warden Collider 2, scene objects, or it's so hard to. I feel so bad saying these things, and I can't effectively show you guys because it's hard. I'm sure it's hard for you guys to understand what I'm saying as I'm when I
Don't
can't
worry,
show it.
Damola. If you are
Mm.
too concerned, maybe we can also shoot like a little video showing everything and we can release it to our channel so people can go and check it out too. But I think until now, you are doing a fantastic job with explaining. Brett is saying Damola is an inspiration, and everybody's saying they learned so much. So you're doing a great job.
You guys are nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. You guys are very nice. Um, okay. So so yes, when we then enable the collider around the warden um, that's going to detect the hit, it will play the animation, the explosion animation. And this process we then repeat several times because we want it to take 4 times to take down the warden. So you have to repeat that process for using 4 different colliders. So each one detects a hit, and when it detects the hit, it plays the explosion animation. Explosion animation disappears, and then the health bar also shows your progress with how much you hit the warden. And at the very end, when you repeat this process several times, when you get to the end, you then have a set visibility node that enables the U-win graphic. It enables the U-win graphic, which is a 2D image. Let's see if I can show that in the, yeah, okay. Enables the U-win graphic and the warden disappears from the screen. Also, the fireball visibility is set to off, and it's only Steve that remains on screen. So that is essentially a Cliff Notes way, well, maybe Western Cliff Notes way of how I created the effect. And I wish I could show you a lot more, but sorry, technical limitations. But that's essentially how I was able to make it. In the project file, I've labeled all the subgraphs and all the nodes that I've created. I've created different categories for each one, for moving the level, for moving the warden, for hit detection, all that stuff. So when you guys play around with the project file, I'm sure some of the stuff I'm saying will make a little bit more sense. And if you have any questions, you can always find me in the Discord and you know ask me what something means or how I did X, Y, Z. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Damola. We had many technical limitations, but we got through it like a champ. We have defeated the final boss. We went through this tutorial and everything is all good. I bet that I personally learned so much and I was astounded by how well you were able to like explain everything. So And people were
Thank
saying
you.
that this is a fantastic tutorial. They learned so much. So thank you for being on live and sharing with
Thank
us
you.
the project files and all the deeds. I hope you guys are all
Mhm.
inspired. While the live was going on, I saw so many people talking about like, wow, I want to create this kind of effect, or wow, this is such a good idea for blah blah blah. So I think this will inspire many many more effects as well. But before we let you go, I want to ask you like who is someone that you've been admiring in the Effect House community? Like
Oh
any
man,
creators or any effects that you thought was super cool?
there's so many people. There's more than just one. I mean, I always like stuff by, well, Eddie Adams. I've been following Eddie since before Effect House even. Jan Trejo always creates dope stuff. Projo, Kasai, Kel, Felipe, Haley, you, Balraj, Mark Wakefield, JP Carey. Like so
uh,
many people that,
uh.
you know, so many people.
Our community is vibrant, and I feel like everybody's creating such amazing projects that every day I'm like, wow, this is incredible. So thank you
Yeah.
so much. Any final departing words to the live audience?
Uh, Upgrade your computers, guys.
Ah! Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It was such a pleasure talking to you, Damola. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Same for all of you live audiences. Thank you for
You too,
attending.
Celine.
Yeah, and
You too.
everybody have a awesome rest of your day. Bye, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.